Interview edition time here on the Electric Circus Radio Show. Interview night here on the show. We've got a special guest on the line with me right now. Tonight we have Gabriel Morency, lead guitar and vocalist of Canadian thrashers Homicide. Homicide, they specialize in old school crossover thrash and returning nearly 25 years later with their sophomore album called Left for Dead. The new album, it was released August the 21st, 2020. Welcome, Gabriel, to the Electric Circus Radio Show here at MetalMessiahRadio.com. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot. We look forward to talking some metal with you.
So, Gabriel, please tell us about Homicide, the band. How did it get all started with you from the beginning?
Well, you know what? We go back to the mid-'80s, actually, and we used to be called Corrupted Youth. It was our, I guess it wasn't even our first band. I think our first band was actually Witch Child when I was like 12, 13 years old in the early 80s. But we used to be in a punk, sort of a punk crossover band called Corrupted Youth in the mid-'80s. And it was a lot of fun. We played bar shows and, it was the old school sort of skate punk rock scene. And then, but we were just kids. We were just teenagers. And I moved to Hollywood. I moved to Los Angeles after that. And I played in more sort of like metal, more of the metal type of scene. But long story short, in the early 90s, a couple of us reunited from the Corrupted Youth days. And we were sort of a pack of friends of a couple of bands. And we came together as Homicide. We put our first record out in 1995, Malice and Forethought, and we toured. We toured for about 4 or 5 years after that. We actually recorded something in 2000, but we never officially released it. And it was about the year 2000 or so that we went our separate ways. It'd been like 15 years of being on the road and playing in the band and playing different. When you've been on the road that long, it can get to you. So I think we all need a little bit of a break. And, we've done a few reunion shows over the years, but not too many. Every couple of, we didn't do a show for like 12 years. We didn't speak, even see each other for like 10, 12 years. From like the year 2001, I guess, until like 2010, 11 or something like that. But, we decided it just sort of felt right. We had some fresh new riffs. I picked up a guitar. Bryan Donahue, one of the guitarists, the Homicides, always shredding and ready to go. And it just sort of felt right. And, we thought Left for Dead was the perfect name and title for the record, since so many people had left us for dead. So we figured it was very appropriate to call it Left for Dead. But it's great to be back.
Yeah, welcome back, and we're mighty glad you're back with the new album. So, Gabriel, who is all the members of the band currently?
Well, you got Bryan Donahue, who is one of the guitarists. I'm the singer and one of the guitarists. We both play solos as well. He's a great guitarist, and me and him go way back. We've known each other for about 30 plus years now. Scott MacCulloch is our drummer, and he might be like sort of the star of the band in the sense that anytime anybody listens to our record or sees us live, they're like, damn, man, your drummer kicks some serious ass. So, Scott MacCulloch, great drummer. And we got an old school sort of Geezer Butler type bassist in Donald Mclary, who we just call Mac. And both Scott and Mac were part of a band called sort of a punk metal sort of crossover band called Lizard from Canada. And, we used to tour with Lizard a lot. We lived with them. We started jamming, and it was just sort of natural for Scott and Mac to join us. So that's what they did. Great crew. And like I said, we've all known each other now for quite a long time, man. Going on about 20. Some of us have known each other for over 30 years, but all of us have been playing together, since the 90s. So you got that sort of natural. It doesn't take long, Joker. That's the whole thing. Like, even though we haven't seen each other for years, you start jamming. It just takes a couple hours, and then you're kicking some serious ass again.
Right. What was the process like on this album and developing the songs, and who produced the album? Is it self-produced?
No, you know what? We sort of came together. Me and Bryan both sort of had riffs. It was very challenging. None of us live in the same cities, and we don't, like I said, we don't see each other that often. So we didn't have a lot of time to bang this off, and I think we made the most of our time. So basically, we spent about 10 days together in a house, and it was a pretty cool time, man. We just jammed all the time, had a good time, had some drinks. We had some pinball machines there. We're real cool AC/DC pinball machine that used to crank AC/DC as you play. So it was a good time. And then we went into the studio, Metalworks Studio in Toronto, which is founded by the guys in the band Triumph, old school sort of rock band Triumph.
Oh, wow.
But it's a world famous studio. They do a lot of commercial stuff, like Guns N' Roses, the Chinese Democracy stuff was recorded there.
Oh, wow.
And, Christina Aguilera, the Rolling Stones have recorded there. But they also support, hard and heavy local music as well. So we were able to secure some time at Metalworks Studios. And, we didn't do it live, but it sort of has that live. We wanted it to have that sort of, live punch, kick you in the face type of feel to it. Yeah. And I think we accomplished that. Recorded at Metalworks Studios, and it was a kick-ass place. It was great to be there. Great studio.
What are some of the topics and lyrics and themes on this new album?
Well, I tell you what, man, you'd think that this record was written after the pandemic, or after all the riots have started in the streets. So, basically the theme of our music is pretty consistent. Anger, revenge is a big theme of ours. I can't lie, like revenge is always in there. So, Left 4 Dead kind of speaks for itself, where we've risen from the ashes to take what you've got. And, there's so many different songs just relate to what's going on in the world. If you go to our YouTube page, just punch in Homicide, Scourge of God, and we got a video up for Scourge of God, which sort of about a fallen empire and chaos in the streets, revolutions, and sort of the masses just having enough. And I think, we've seen, man, that's just sort of been the theme of the summer. And it's funny, too, we've got Enemy of the State, in which the chorus is, this is no conspiracy, you are the enemy. Mm-hmm. And nobody ever really assumed that we would become the enemy. But, like the TV show, I don't think I need to tell you, they shoot it in Atlanta, but The Walking Dead. Right? So, The Walking Dead, it's like, oh my God, there's zombies everywhere. Uh-huh. Then they realize it's not the zombies that are the danger. It's the other jerk-off humans that are the danger, right?
Right.
And it's sort of, there's sort of the same theme with Enemy of the State, in which it's always sort of they, except no, it's not they, it's you. And we see now we are the enemy. We have become the virus, right? We are the virus. Not, coronavirus really... coronavirus is a word, but the real virus is amongst us. We're the ones spreading it. Right. It's not some fictitious word that's spreading this. So, we really have become the enemy. And you see the meltdowns from people not wanting to wear masks, or, one side or the other. People are getting pretty frantic, as you see. We got another song. Listen, I'm a sports fan as well, and I'm also a gambler. So, we sort of have our own little ace of spades, so to speak. We wanted sort of a hardcore gambling, drinking, up late night doing stupid things in hotel rooms that you shouldn't be doing type of song. So we got a little bit of something for everybody in here. But, you know, our first record and our old school stuff, it was, you know, there's always sort of the same theme to Homicide music. But I would say that this new record is a little more traditional metal, right? Like, it's sort of got that Judas Priest, Iron Maiden sort of feel to it, except heavier, right?
Oh, I agree.
Got that Slayer, Megadeth, you know, Metallica, but it's heavy. It's metal, but it's heavy, right? So it's hard to, you know, I basically write songs that I like, that I want to listen to. Right. And, you know, I started, like, jamming on the guitar, and I'm like, you know what? I like this riff. This is kick-ass. This is like old school metal, but it's sort of new school as well. And I think we sort of combine the old and the new pretty well on it.
Right. Who did the cover art on the album, and what does that character on the artwork depict?
You know what? We got it done by a dude in Malaysia who specializes in metal records. And, you know, it was one of these deals. You went online, you start shopping, and you know what it's like, man. You know, this isn't something that you're going down to the local Staples to get done. Or you're not going down to, like, the local, right. You're not going to, like, the FedEx Business Center. You know what I mean? Hey, can I get a metal record and graphic design? Right. No one gets it. They don't really understand. So, you know, I sort of scoured the internet, and we found this dude in Malaysia that really sort of got it. I don't know if you remember, like, the old school sort of like Celtic Frost, the Thomas Geiger, the H. Geiger stuff. And, right. You know, he sort of got that sort of German, barren, wasteland metal type of look. And if you look at our cover, it sort of has that sort of Creator type of Sodom type of old school feel. But what we wanted was a barren wasteland. Like the logo, the guy, the beast on the cover pretty much represents us. We're back to F you up. And as you see, there's bodies behind us on stakes. And, right. You know, like, we've risen from the ashes. We've been left for dead, but we're risen from the ashes to take what you've got. We're back. We were blind, but now we see. And that's what the cover represents. Great cover. Yeah, I think it really just symbolizes the music perfectly, actually.
I absolutely agree. Okay, Gabriel, let's play a new track from the newest offering, Left for Dead. Track number 7, Scourge of God. What can you tell us about the song before we play the song?
Well, Scourge of God is, you know, it's got that old school metal feel to it. It's got that real old thrash, get in the pit and start thrashing feel to it. But the lyrics kind of speak for themselves. You know, whatever empire you want to talk about that's crumbling and society falling apart, you can just sort of fill in the blanks here.
All right, everyone, we will be right back. Here is brand new Homicide with Scourge of God. Joker Live, one place, MetalMessiahRadio.com. Crank it! Okay, metal friends, we are back here on Metal Messiah Radio. We're back with Gabriel Morency of the Canadian Thrashers Homicide. So, how did you get started in the beginning? Who made you want to be a musician? Who are some of your influence you look up to that you were so in, and you said, "Yeah, hell yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be do music in life."
Well, you know, my father always had guitars lying around the house. Growing up, he was a musician as well. So yeah, I always sort of had music in me. But then, you know, like everyone else in sort of that time and that era, I was going to see arena rock shows. You know, the Judas Priests, the Iron Maidens, the Aussies, Randy Rhoads. But I'd say that the first big influences really were, you know, Judas Priest, Ozzy, and it didn't take long though where I started to get into heavier stuff. Mm-hmm. Right, you know, I liked Kiss when I was a kid, and you know, I liked Rush and just sort of hard rock and rock AC/DC, and I still do. But you know, it was sort of when I started hearing heavier stuff. So I liked I liked Black Sabbath and I liked Ozzy Osbourne, but then I heard Judas Priest, and I'm like, oh man, this is a little heavier even. And then I heard Iron Maiden, but then sort of the next step. Then I started hearing Suicidal Tendencies, and I started hearing, VoiVod, and I started hearing Slayer. So pretty much Slayer, was to me Slayer the kingpins of metal. But ultimately, Judas Priest, Slayer, and we can't forget about Venom, man. Venom, big fan of Venom when I was a kid.
Gabriel, please tell us about your gear and the companies that makes your gear, your guitar, and all that good stuff, and the brand of instruments you use and Pro Tools that you might like to use in recording. What do you love about the brands you use with your gear?
Well, we're pretty old school, actually. A lot of bands have, sort of these racks and 92 different pedals. And, when we went into to the metalworks, basically, Wayne Cochran, our producer, who kick-ass producer's done Protest the Hero and Cancer Bats and some other cool stuff. So he basically told us, it's just noise, this stuff. Let's go. And, another influence of ours is Motorhead. And Motorhead, whatever, dude, it's a guitar, a distortion pedal, and a couple of Marshalls. So we try to keep it sort of limited to how many crazy effects we have or pedals and everything. The record is recorded basically on SGs for the most part, and we had I'm more of a Les Paul guy overall, but when you get into playing sort of speed metal and thrash metal, sometimes you need sort of a faster guitar. So I've had a lot of Ibanez's over the years. But ultimately, our first record was recorded, and I think my favorite metal guitar that I've ever used is the BC Rich Warlock. And it's like the old school one-piece. I wish I still had it, but that's what happens when you play for 35, 40 years on the road. Mm-hmm. You go through a lot of different guitars. But, yeah, man, you can't top a good old school one-piece BC Rich. And I'll tell you, even some of the newer ones don't suck or anything, but it's hard to replicate that old sort of 80s BC Rich one piece. It just played so fast. But, I'm an Ibanez. I like Ibanez. Everyone loves Les Paul. I love BC Rich. And as I've gotten older, man, I've become more and more of an SG guy. To me, you can't top a Gibson, a distortion pedal, and a Marshall. I mean, to me, that's just a kick-ass combination right there.
I know earlier you said you guys played at some gigs with other bands in the past. Who were some of the bands you shared the stage with, and what was those experiences like for you guys?
We've had a great time playing with so many bands over the years. Some bands, some bands were not even the same style of ours, yet we ended up on the same show with them, and we had a great time. The Killer Dwarfs, a good example. Remember the Killer Dwarfs?
Yes.
They had a big hit. It doesn't matter at all.
Uh-huh.
They came off a tour with Motley Crue, and, we're much heavier than that. But we ended up playing at a bar in Toronto called the Gasworks. And the Gasworks bar is pretty much what the movie Wayne's World is patterned after.
Oh, wow.
And we played a reunion show with the Killer Dwarfs, which was real cool. It was just sort of that it felt like Wayne's World. It felt like that movie, Wayne's World. For me personally, playing with Chuck and Death was real cool before he passed away. Mm-hmm. That was something that was like, I've always looked up to the band Death. Chuck was always been one of the innovators of that type of and this type of metal.
Absolutely.
So playing with Death was real cool. We played with Merciful Fate and King Diamond before.
Oh, nice.
That's great. We've toured with DRI on a crossover tour. Anvil is another band that we played a bunch of shows with. VoiVod, who also from Quebec. We played a bunch of shows with VoiVod over the years. But for me personally, I think my favorite was playing with Death and playing with Merciful Fate.
How are you dealing, you and the guys dealing with the lockdown, and what are you doing in your spare time? Maybe working on new material? I know you said earlier, you said something about you was doing sports talk radio programs too. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've been in broadcasting. I've always been a degenerate gambler and a metalhead and a sports fan, right? So I'm lucky that, I basically just do. That's the life that I've lived. But the pandemic, it's been a bitch, man. Let's just be real. It was the summertime. We don't all live in the same city, so we sort of have to plan out our tours in advance. And we had a lot of cool summer stuff, with the record coming out. And speaking of old school bands, the band Exciter is a great old school metal band. Exciter was set to come back and go on tour, as was the band Razor, another old school great Canadian metal band.
Yep. And
we had played with Razor before, and we were set to play some shows. We had a couple other big time shows lined up, and I'll tell you what, one thing, and we appreciate you having us on. We appreciate the support and the reaction. We've always, we've had our fans, and we've as we just talked about, we played some pretty big shows over the years, and we played on big tours. But it was always sort of the real sort of underground scene. With this new record right now, we're getting rave reviews globally. We've been invited to play in China. They love it in Italy, wow. Portugal, Mexico, Sweden. So, great reaction in Europe. Great reaction in the United States as well. So hopefully when things start to get back to normal, we can start booking more and more shows and do some real North American wide and even worldwide tours. But as you know right now, man, the world's pretty whacked.
Are there any plans of writing and doing new material and coming out with a new album following this in the near future?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this one was a real bitch to do, bro. So, I'm not know if I'm ready to go into the studio. We nearly killed each other. That's one story, too. Like, when you listen to the record now, and even me, I have a great time listening. I love having a couple of drinks, and I'm like, wow, this really is good, man. What a great solo, and, what a great song this is. Yet when we were doing it, it was pure torture, man. I should note, listen, when you're in a band called Homicide and you play music like we do, we haven't seen each other in a long time. Patience wears thin, and we're pretty hard on each other. Record it again. You can do better, right? That sucked. And, we really went at it, really, really good. And I remember looking over to the producer, and I say, yeah, listen, I apologize that, I don't mean to be unprofessional because we're fighting as much as we are. And he goes, don't worry about it. He's like, Guns N' Roses threw punches at each other right where you guys are standing. So you almost need emotion, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, in the future, listen, let's see what happens with this record. Let's get through this pandemic right now. But the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world has already led us to, written a couple of new riffs and new songs already. So yeah, long story short, we are going to have some new music in the future, but hopefully people like this record first. Like I said, check out our video over on YouTube. Scourge of God is up, and it's a great video. We're going to do some more videos in the future. That's one thing, sort of during the pandemic, since we're not on the road. We're sort of just, we did the video. We've done videos before, but this is our first real sort of official cool video. We've just sort of done live show videos before. And, hopefully we can do more in the future. and sort of promote the record properly, and then hit the road, and then hopefully we could see you in Atlanta, a great town. We got a lot of buddies there. We look forward to coming there.
Yeah, we look forward to coming and seeing you whenever you make it over this way. Okay, you just mentioned the videos. Who did the lyric and edited the lyric videos on YouTube that we see now?
That was a local company in Montreal that Bryan Donahue hooked up with, and we were just going to sort of do the lyric video, but as you see, it's more than just sort of a lyrical video. The graphics are great. Right. The live footage is great. And as you stated earlier, just sort of it really speaks. You see the video and it just feels. It's crazy for a band that hasn't done a record in 25 years that the record feels so 2020, but it just does feel so 2020.
Well, congratulations to you and the guys of Homicide with the new album and everything. It sounds great, and you're kicking ass with that whole album. I listened to it over and over again. Great stuff, man.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, bro. And, like I said, we look forward to seeing you guys in person down the road, and we'd love to come back on the show anytime, my man.
Gabriel, please discuss how you interact and respond to the fans in social media and when you're performing live, and what kind of Homicide show will a new fan get when they come see you perform live?
Well, social media, I don't know why they call it social media when you consider how unsocial it really is. Let's be real. Like social, is it really social? But I'm very active, actually. On online. You can find me on Twitter at Sports Rage. That's the name of my sports radio show, Sports Rage. So I am very active on social media. We respond, to people. We go back and forth, etc. We're trying to build our online presence. Like, look, we're an old school band, man. You know what I mean? When you've been living in the back of a van, for years in the 80s and 90s, like we were around before the internet, bro. Right? So people often ask me, do you have that show up? And do you have this? If you go to YouTube, you can see us. Our show with Death is up, actually. And I think there's videos from King Diamond and Merciful Fate. So, we've got some videos out there. But it's sort of that old grainy black and white stuff. So really, we're building the new digital online portfolio sort of step by step right now. And it's a process, and everything is so new with Spotify and iTunes and all these different platforms. But we're available on all of them right now, Apple iTunes and all that stuff. So if you look up Homicide Left for Dead, you'll be able to find us. And as far as us live, man, live we don't play around, bro. Like you come to see Homicide live, it's basically going to be about 70 minutes of electric shock therapy. All right, we're loud as hell. It's violent, it's loud, it's angry, and it's one thing that I can say we're pretty consistent with. Very, very fun live band. Love playing live. To me, that's what it's all about. In the studio, it's tedious. It's kind of, it's not the most fun stuff being in the studio at times, but the end result is cool listening to it. But the funnest part is when you're in a room full of metalheads and you're like, all right, everyone, this is the new song and they haven't heard it before. And then you just got a monster pit going. Yeah. That's one of the best rushes you can get in the world.
What is your thoughts on the music industry today here in 2020?
Well, not good. I'd have to say, not very good. One good thing is the fact that there's so many avenues where artists can be promoted. They can get their music up on mainstream platforms that they couldn't before. But at the same point in time, people don't care anymore, right? Nobody wants to pay for anything. Everybody gets everything for free. Right. People just download things, even if they like it. Live shows are gone right now. So let's be real. This is a weird time right now for the music business, bro. And we'll see who survives and what happens when they come out of it. Right. All businesses need a cleanup, and the old school record tool bags, they needed to be flushed through the system. So change is good. But I'd be lying to you if I told you what the music business is going to look like coming out of this. I mean, there's only so many, online shows people can play before we're going to get back to normal. But look, man, the Spanish flu killed millions of people, all right?
Yes.
In 1918, 1919, 1920. And, by 1930, people weren't talking about the Spanish flu. So things will get back to normal, right?
Right.
People, it will get back to normal, but I think we're 2-3 years away from it, unfortunately. Maybe another year and a half, 2 years away, 3 years away. But things will be back to normal. People will be going to concerts again in the future. There'll be live shows and stuff. I just think it's going to be a little while.
Please tell us where to buy your music and give plugs on your websites. And are you coming out with the record on vinyl and merchandise? Or are there any T-shirts, patches and stickers and stuff like that from the band?
Yeah, we got them all up over at officialhomicide.com. officialhomicide.com. We got old school T-shirts, new school T-shirts, links to all the new music platforms, Bandcamp, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you like to download and get your new music. We're out there. Homicide, Left for Dead, baby.
Awesome. Please give shout-outs on your fans and your new fans to be. What would you like to say to the people out there that love the band or gonna love the band Homicide?
Well, you know what? To our old schools, you guys rock. We appreciate the hardcore support and love. And, I said earlier we write music for ourselves, but we also write it for our diehard fans and for people that are, people that feel that there's sort of a void in the music scene right now. And if you haven't heard us before, we encourage you, listen to the record, listen to a couple of songs, check out the video out there, and I think you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna like the crossover from the old school into the new. And it'll shock you. Music with guitar solos. What a novelty right now. That's the thing, right? You got all these cool new school metal bands and stuff, but they don't do the guitar solo thing. Well, we don't, these short sort of mini songs, all melodic with no guitar solos. So, like I said, if you're a Judas Priest, old school Judas Priest fan, or a, Metallica fan, Megadeth, I think you'll like the record. If you're a Slayer fan, Sodom, Bathory, Merciful Fate, I think you'll like the record.
Gabriel, it's been a pleasure and an honor having you on the show with us here tonight, Joker's Electric Circus at Metal Messiah Radio. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule for doing this interview with us here tonight. The best of luck to you and the guys of Homicide. And you're welcome to come back on the show when you want to promote something else in the future. And thank you.
Hey, I appreciate the time, my man. Continued success. You got a great show. Great job, my man.